What's up, party people? Welcome to the Writer's Block Party Podcast. I'm your host, R.C. Cepeda. We are a podcast about creators being creative. We come up with ideas for a movie, TV show, or product, and we get to invite you along for the journey and the process. We have Mike Quinn, a talent manager and producer from Los Angeles, helps create a very funny yet thought-provoking TV show. Check it out. Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Block Party Podcast. I'm your host, R.C. Cepeda. Today we have your co-host, Andy Godzilla.
Hello.
And our guest, Mighty Mike Quinn.
Hey guys.
Excellent.
Clap for myself.
You'd always clap for yourself.
How's your Sunday?
It's good, actually. Good. I mentioned when I came in, I was out on the boat. I decided, hey, let's just cancel everything I'm doing today because RC's got a radio show we got to get to.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Little podcast TV thing going. Got to go.
We're happy to have you.
Yes.
Mike should have stayed on the boat.
That wasn't in the memo.
We'll see in the next hour.
It.
We'll see how that turns out. But before we go into anything, I do want to give a big shout out to Trash Animals Podcast. They're good friends of ours, a great podcast as well.
So we can clap for them too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
They get weird. They talk about all the
weird.
silly, stupid, funny things that happens on the day-to-day basis. Just check out or Google and go to Instagram and all the things. Trash Animals Podcast.
Yep.
Let's get weird. They get weird. So, Mike.
So.
Should I call you Mighty?
No. That was the old radio name. It still gets used here and there, but it's weird because I started out with that when I was 15 years old, and it started, became like, hey, is that your real name? I was like, well, I learned a long time ago you need to use your real name when you're a on-air personality. Yeah. And the guy that I first started working for, his name was Chuck White, my mentor. He passed away now. He was an old radio and TV guy. And he said, look, you want to use your real name when you get into broadcasting. And I said, well, why? There's so many cool names out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could use anything, Superman or anything cool. Yeah. He goes, no, use your real name because one day you're going to get pulled over by a state trooper and you're going to need to pull out your ID. And when he sees your name, he's going to think free concert tickets. And actually it's worked. I've used it a number of times. So. Mighty is not the real name. Yeah, Mighty. Nice. Mike Quinn is, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us, Mike.
Yeah.
So the way this podcast works is it's about creators being creative, right? Yeah. We basically build and create an adventure, whether it's a movie, TV show, or product.
Right.
And go from there.
Great.
And it can be as silly, as sad, as dumb, as funny, as whatever it is. It's basically part think tank, part improv, all BS, all bullshit.
100%.
For the most part, it's all bullshit. And yeah. Are you ready for it?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of introduction, bring it.
No other choice. No.
Movie, TV show, product. What do you feel like working on?
I love TV shows.
TV?
Love TV shows, yes.
TV.
All right, TV.
Heck yeah.
This is the age of TV. Really.
It is.
So let's do that. Okay, we got some titles for you. These are actually some user-submitted, fan-submitted ones.
Fan submitted.
Meaning we got some fans, which is awesome.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, fans.
You guys are good.
All right, so we have Daniel Beals. His is Neon Rocket Boots.
Oh, that's a fun one. Thanks, Dan.
Samantha Clay is More Butts.
Okay. Like it already? I like it already.
And Deandra Celeste, Can I Help You? Rude. Like, can I help you? Rude?
I think she means like in a rude way. I think she means like in a rude way. Yeah.
It's, can I help you?
I think she was displaying how she was feeling.
Yeah. That's my bad.
So, Neon Rocket Boots, More Butts, Can I Help You?
More butts.
She's right here.
She's also in the audience right there. That's it.
When I get to pick?
Yeah, you choose.
Oh, well, let's take it. We got her in the studio audience.
Low-hanging fruits. I love them.
Boom.
Know your audience.
All right. Can I help you?
Okay, so TV show.
That's the name of the show.
Well, it's a kicking off point. We can
jumping
use
off
it.
point.
It can be the title. It can be whatever we want it to be.
It's the idea generator. Right there.
Got it.
It's a
I would like to say I think it would be a great idea for the name of a TV show.
done.
Which would be great.
Perfect.
Good.
All right. Can we list that? Are we starting?
I'm
Sorry, yeah, we're
listing it
registered
right
with the
now.
Guild,
Listing it
guys.
right now.
Oh no, we're going to agree.
right.
We're pretty agreeable.
All right, good.
So why that one? Apart from or what are the thoughts behind that? Can I help you?
Think about it. It could mean a lot of things. It could be rude. It could be somebody grabbing you from behind accidentally. Excuse me, can I help you?
Yeah.
Or it could be somebody that's in dire need. Oh, can I help you? Yeah. I mean, it can go all kinds of different directions.
That's great.
She's brilliant. That's why she's here.
That's a good one. That's a
That's
good one.
pretty great, actually.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, it almost makes me think, and just to throw something in there, maybe give us a kickoff point. What if, since it is a TV show, if it's episodic, what if the setup is always a beginning of, can I help you? And that means we can use any determination, any style of that.
Customer service, you know, people,
whatever.
The whole.
And every episode could be different. We might have some through line characters, but I think a good idea would be, that's our kickoff point. That's where our story picks up. It always starts with, can I help you?
Like at a checkout, at a...
Yes.
I love
it could be that.
And, guys, can I add, it should be a comedy.
Oh, 100%.
Comedy for sure.
It should be a comedy.
Everybody loves comedy. Yes. Nobody wants to watch that.
She was thinking
comedy.
I can tell. Look at her face. She's thinking funny stuff.
Well, you know, in the industry that I'm in is, you know, hospitality. There's so many stories in the back end, like that movie Waiting, right? That movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds really touched on those points. But that was a few years ago. There's so many things that are going on from now that have those aspects of it.
And how many times in your lifetime have you said, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can I help you?
Can I help?
I say it all the time.
Someone just touched my wallet in New York. Can I help you?
I like smacking away. Can I help you?
I think of the comedy side to this. You could go. You're right. You could go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Hotel concierge to grocery store to
it's the modern day version of Seinfeld.
I like that.
I'm going a little bit further now.
No, that's fine.
That's what it's about.
This will be sold next week.
If you can sell it, let's sell it. Shit.
I'm already thinking, wait a minute.
Obviously, large studios call it.
She gets credit, you get credit.
Can I help you? No, that's great, actually. I think that's pretty phenomenal. So, let's just kind of pick it apart. Do we want it to have a set cast that are now an ensemble that work their way through these scenarios? Yes. Does it take place in one location and we're constantly asking, can I help you there? Or do we want to expand it and it can be anything? Today we're in a coffee shop. Tomorrow we're at a gas station. The next time it's somebody on the street getting somebody touching their wallet.
Yes.
I haven't seen that lately as far as, you know, a TV show with that aspect. Where it's
and
outside
why?
Of that. Yeah.
And why? Why haven't we seen that?
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
I think that'd be cool.
That's why she's thinking. It's like, you thought about it because you haven't seen it lately.
Yeah.
Why? No one asked. Who's asking that question? Nobody.
Well,
but you.
Now we have the answer now.
Exactly.
We got the answer now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's spread it out.
Let's take it all over the world. Like it's a universal thing all over the world. Let's go worldwide with this.
Okay.
Where we have people in England, you know, with those situations. You know, Scotland, all those things.
The world's our oysters, basically, what we're saying. So this show, we've just to make it more broad, could literally take any form we want it. So it's very anthology-like. So the anthologies is the question, can I help you? How we use can I help you is just going to design that episode, essentially. Is that...
I have a different opinion. Can
Can
I be different?
Yes.
I would say centralize it in one location.
Okay.
That way you can kind of super serve and kind of figure out exactly who you are.
Okay.
Shooting in London or New York or whatever, you can carry that over on a vacation show.
That's true.
But being able to go out, that's why Seinfeld and those type of shows, they didn't go out a lot.
No.
They did a coffee shop.
They
did home because these were familiar places and audiences really enjoy to watch something they can be familiar with.
Relate to,
And absolutely. Yeah. RC, you're right. It has to be relatable. So it's hard to take an audience from another country and kind of help it relate the audience you're serving in the United States.
Yeah, it's true.
If we get it sold in the United States.
But I see what you're saying. That makes perfect sense because the idea of like Behind Friends is you're not just their friend, but you're at that coffee shop with them every week.
Yes, that location was very special on that show. The location in the cafe was very special on Seinfeld. So I think
the Max in Saved by the Bell.
The Max
absolutely,
in Saved by the Bell.
absolutely.
It's familiarity.
It's iconic.
Okay.
It becomes a thing.
Yes.
I love it. We go old school style.
We do this couch.
Perfect. Well,
This couch, right? No?
Exactly.
It's iconic.
Exactly.
This,
you could scoot over a little bit more, and I would say, "Can I help you?"
If I came in
this is
closer,
an episode.
There wasn't a buffer here.
And then you would say, there wasn't enough room on this side, or it's really comfy here because it's kind of sagging on that side.
It could be all of the above.
Yes, there's a reason for it.
To go with the Seinfeld like I could picture like Andy be like, well, how close is too close? Like, I
How
feel
close
like
is too
there's a line
close?
right there.
Exactly.
I'm it's that awkward.
Here's what I was
thing in
actually
life,
planning to do was to inch closer as we went on, and then by the time at the end, you're like, "What?
You're on his lap.
Can I
By the
help
end of the
you?"
show, he'll
Yeah,
just be
I'll be
sitting
like,
next to
hey
you,
man, hey buddy,
we
are
are
you having a
just
good time?
just a good guy right here.
We're gonna be best friends by the end.
I love
here.
it.
Exactly.
I do love that aspect because there's so many things that happen on the day-to-day basis that people,
Yes.
we're so used to it happens, but
Yeah.
putting a focus and spotlight on that, like that right there, could be a whole fucking episode.
That's a whole
Where
fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
one thing a friend of mine told me is a way to fuck up someone's day is to be like, hey, like you walk funny. You tell someone like that they walk funny, like they will guarantee they'll be like, wait.
They will think about it all day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They will watch how
So
they walk.
that's a great aspect of that. I love that.
You just
Yeah, I
make
do it all the
push.
time. I mess with people. I go, "Are you okay? Are you people that are a little angry sometimes? I just go, "Are you all right today? Are you feeling okay?" I was at a coffee bean, and the girl behind the counter, she wasn't rude, but she wasn't smiling, nor did she say hello or good morning or.
Or can I help you?
And I said, after she gave me my coffee for me and the person I was with, I said, "Is your day going okay?" And she said, "Well, why?" And immediately she just started smiling, and it changed her pattern of thought.
Yeah.
She probably wasn't having a good day, but at least she was able to
you asked that
recognize
question exactly. Yeah, so she put some light onto that.
Yes.
That's great.
Which is what you want to do with this TV
With this show,
Exactly.
it's perfect.
So
It
let's-
disarms people.
What are some things that automatically the reaction is the question? Can I help you? Like you mentioned earlier, like someone like grabbing your wallet, whatever the case. Like
Sure.
some automatic responses.
Well, I think the simplest one would be to go right to the hospitality aspect.
Yeah.
We can open right up with maybe we establish if we're going to have set characters, one of them clearly has a job as a server, or something along those lines.
Yeah, they also have to ask, how can I
They
help
have
Yes.
to ask.
Yeah, that's your
It
job.
should be
Yeah, that's your
obligatory that
Yeah.
they have to
Yeah,
ask.
absolutely.
Maybe a hotel concierge,
Yeah.
or even worse, somebody just takes out the trash somewhere. Like I don't know, just something. It's
the,
just got to be.
that the greeter
Yeah.
of the consumer.
And that would carry on to your day-to-day life after work, because that's what you're used to doing, is being kind and courteous and asking those type of questions.
Yeah.
So
One of my favorite restaurants in Kansas City, it's a barbecue restaurant, surprise, surprise. But one of the main things they do when they walk in it is when you walk in, everybody will immediately go, "Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help you?" Well, that is you're there because you'll hear it 1,000,000 times if you stand there long enough, because that's the first thing they have to say.
It's like Chick-fil-A. They're like, "My pleasure. My
Yeah.
pleasure. My pleasure."
It's
My
something
pleasure.
we can
yes.
have a restaurant or some sort of, maybe even a place that they just have to say, "Can I help you?"
Yes.
And it's got to be part of the thing.
Yes.
And then immediately now we've created a place that we have a requirement that
That's
it
right.
has to be said all the time. And we have a kickoff point anytime we need it. And then from there, if by season 2 or 3 we never say it again, we know it's always there.
Yes.
You've already built your audience into thinking that's
Are you thinking like they turn to a hashtag like CIHY?
I don't know
No?
about that. Maybe that might be too
Was that
far.
no, okay. No.
But "Can I help you?" is great. "Can I help you?" is easy.
It's 2019. They shortened
God, I
it.
hate
Oh,
you.
no.
No. Okay, so we have some good bones there. That's some good stuff. So who's our cast, I guess? Who do we want to see in this?
So you
Wait,
said
is it unlimited? Can we pick anybody?
Anybody.
Yeah,
the
it's
sky's the limit.
Dreamcast. It's
Dreamcast.
If
It's
anything
a
can happen,
dream
who would you
building,
put
yeah.
in there?
Oh wow. Oh, can I pick my clients? Because
Yeah, sure.
Because then we can cast them. I honestly
Totally
think
your
Tom
clients.
Sizemore would be great.
Oh, he would have been great.
I also work with Janice Dickinson. I think she'd be wonderful because
that'd be
she's
great.
loud and crazy, and a little nasty, and you don't get in her face about anything. You get too close, you're
like
in trouble.
So she'd be like, "How the fuck can I help you?"
Exactly. So good, two good candidates there.
Those are great.
Now, Tom's got an interesting side to him because he's a tough boy. He's a bit of a Hollywood bad boy,
Yeah.
and you don't get too close to Tom, or he will punch you in the face.
Good.
Literally,
Okay.
literally.
All right.
That's a character arc.
Yeah, but he's a
that we
sweetheart.
need in this
He's not
thing.
going to punch you intentionally, but if you get too close and you try to grab his wallet, he will fight.
Is he from I'm thinking is he from New York?
He's East Coaster guy.
Yeah.
He lives here,
Like,
obviously.
hey, I'm walking here. What the fuck?
Exactly.
Well, whatever that
Oh yeah, he's definitely got that Newark blood for sure.
is that. I want to just point out that's RC's go-to for New York type.
Yeah.
Hey, look out! I'm walking here.
Everybody talks the same.
Hey, where's the pizza? Huh?
My
Like,
impressions are the best. As you said
yeah,
earlier.
nailing it. Actually, that's great. Those are great. So that actually sets it up because those are two very distinct characters, but one's a woman, one's a man. They kind of balance things out, which is really good. Yes. I actually would be very curious to see them. I don't see them working here, but I see them being like they're part of the group because they're regular patrons at whatever this establishment is. And I think that's how we get them in there. And they're immediately like, there are leads, there are names, they're interesting, but then now we surround them with maybe like, let's say, people who work at, how about a restaurant or a fast food, right? Not even fast food, but maybe a cafe.
Yeah, I'm thinking cafe.
Cafe's maybe too low ball, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
It could be, we'll make the cafe that one place, like we were mentioning as far as the Max, and then in the...
Can we pick the location? I got a great spot.
Oh, give me it. What do you got?
There's a bagel spot on Beverly Drive in Beverly Hills. It's owned by Larry King.
Who doesn't go eat bagels?
Everybody loves bagels.
And it's great. Larry King sits over there almost every morning in his little corner.
Let's get him.
But you can walk by him every day. He could just be that character that's sitting there, who's just kind of going, "Can I help you?"
But seriously, like,
what if it's called bagels? Everybody Loves Bagels? That's the name of the bagel shop.
Even better.
ELB.
Yes.
Done.
ELB.
ELB. Yeah, I would eat ELB. Yep. I would eat a bagel. Everyone loves bagels.
I'm thinking like I'm from Hispanic, so LB. Oh, LB. Let's go to LB.
Adios mio.
No. Okay, let's put a pin in that because you're going into as far as some of your clientele. I'd love for us to talk about you. And this is a little segue into
why when we can talk about you, RC.
There's nothing interesting about me.
Oh come on! I know your history.
No, let's talk about you. I know you from my old hometown in South Texas.
Yeah.
You're here in LA. You're doing big things. You're doing awesome things. What are you up to? What do you love? What do you love about LA? What do you love about McAllen, Texas? I'm
very bullish on Texas, and I'm really bullish on the Rio Grande Valley area, the South Texas region. If you guys don't know where that's at, that's as far south as you can get without going to Hawaii. So if you know where the equator is, you can't get any further unless you're in Hawaii. So long story short, my father, his stepfather was a military guy who was in the Air Force. And in 1957, my father and his stepdad and his mother, my grandmother, went down to a little town called Harlingen, Texas, because there used to be an Air Force base in that area. I was not even born then, but he went to high school there for 2 years and then left. When he's from Jersey City, New Jersey, went back to Jersey City, kind of finished off his school, met my mom, started working in California, where I was born, in Salinas in Northern California. And then when he got closer to like retirement type of stuff, he decided he wanted to go somewhere after him and my mom divorced, go somewhere where they could kind of he could enjoy weather. And he had some old friends for those 2 years of high school. He had his best times, he said, in South Texas. So he went and got a house down there and it ended up becoming a great home for me for a number of years. On and off, I'd been down there a couple of times to work in broadcasting. And it was the Rio Grande Valley was always good to me. I spent some time going to school down there on and off. Yeah. I mean, it was a really good area. I've never had better Mexican food than the Rio Grande in my entire life. Word. So that's real Tex-Mex. If anybody's watching this and listening, if you haven't had real Tex-Mex food, you don't get it until you head south of San Antonio.
You have a botana.
Absolutely. Oh God! So much. Oh God! Is there anything you can't find food like that?
I've been on a search. I haven't found. Like,
it's hard. It doesn't exist. I've tried for years.
Yeah.
My mom lives in La Habra. She's born and raised in Southern California, and we have disputes over the best Mexican food. She has her favorite Mexican food places in Southern California, and I don't call enchiladas unless they have the brown kind of gravy sauce. Or the enchiladas she tries to get me to go eat with her at these restaurants are these red, bright red sauces or deep green, which is good too. But it's definitely not the level that we understand when you've eaten in those regions.
Quality.
Yes. Guys, come on. Taco Palenque at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
I mean, nothing better.
Taco Palenque is the best, like 24 hours.
Oh my God.
Just
taco place.
So good.
And they have a salsa bar.
Yes.
The best salsa bar.
Yes.
I got you beat. 5th in Vermont. There's a taco truck called El Flamin' Taco. Blow your mind.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
That's the funny thing is a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, no, this is the best spot. Like,
no, I don't.
Yeah, and everybody, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a foodie. I like to eat.
You and me both. We're good.
Okay, so every time somebody tells me I got better Mexican food than the RGV, the South Texas region.
Do you test them?
I will go and I will look. If it takes me a month, I will find them. I will get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But I literally I have a list on my telephone of every restaurant that everybody tells me is the best Mexican food. I've yet to find anything better than even a taco palenque at 2:30 in the morning. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I need to try it. I've never been down to the Rio Grande area myself. But
There's something about. So I like to order beans. I go to a place here called Don Antonio's on
You
Pico
can tell
Boulevard.
off their beans. You can.
Yes. Don Antonio's is great here. It's the closest I can find. It's
I'm gonna write that down.
Pico's good.
Don Antonio?
Don Antonio's. So I like to order beans. I like what they call in South Texas. There's one place you can find them. Is chado beans.
Yes. Yes.
Now, when I scoop a bite of beans that has bits of bacon and cilantro and onion and tomato. Oh God! So I order at my favorite, closest to my favorite here, at least in LA, at Don Antonio's. I'll say, "Can I have a bowl of chado beans?" They bring me out a bowl of pinto beans that just has salt, and I'm like, "Señor, ven para acá." They do not have what I need to stir. So I'll order those things. Can you give me cilantro? Yes. Can you give me some onion? I'm sitting there at the table going,
he's gonna call the chefs over. Watch what I'm doing.
Yes, you guys can
Put
do
this
this.
on the menu.
You're missing the mark. That's
I'm telling
awesome.
you guys, some of the best food I've ever had in my life has been in South Texas. And another part of my story is, a big part of my story, a woman that really saved my life is my stepmother. My dad went through a lot of alcohol issues and drug issues, and he was a Vietnam veteran who suffered from being sprayed with chemicals and all kinds of stuff during his time. My dad died at a very young age. He was 43, I believe, when he passed away. Sorry. But I had a stepmother that was from a little town called Combs in the Rio Grande Valley, a little tiny area next to Harlingen. And when I was, very young, she kind of took me in as her own. And I didn't have a mom at that point because my mom's here in California and we're in Texas going back and forth. And the one thing she did was she said, I will teach you I love to eat, even back then. She says, I will teach you how to make great Mexican food. And to this day, the only thing I know how to make is Mexican food. So when I cook at home, I make Mexican food.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I have a kitchen right over here.
Oh man, I can make some good rice.
Oh man, I love good rice.
That's amazing. And going back to the fact that we are from the same hometown. Your voice is just so reminiscent. It brings you back to hearing you on the radio back in the day.
Iconic.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah,
I started in radio in the South Texas area in 1987. I was licensed as an on-air personality, I think before I was 16 years old. And the youngest, back then at FCC, you're required to have a broadcaster's license to be on the air. And we were, I was fortunate enough I moved out of my house while I was living with my dad at the time in his summer house. So I moved away, literally was homeless. And I got a job at a little place called Whataburger.
I missed that so much.
That one.
The general manager gave me an opportunity. We were able to fudge my age, and so he gave me a job flipping burgers and making some money. The only clothes I had was a clothes I left my dad's home with, which is the one set of clothes and a 10-speed bicycle that they don't make anymore.
Wow.
So I got the job. He gave me 3 sets of uniforms. That became my clothing. After the first couple of paychecks, I made some money. But right next door to the restaurant was a radio station and TV station, KGVT Television, Channel 4 used to be there, and a radio group, which is now Univision Radio Broadcasting. And so they hired me on the spot. I was able to meet somebody, and they hired me on the spot and let me in on a fluke. They fired somebody that was cussing on the air. I happened to be walking in the door, and when this guy was walking out, and this guy, Chuck White, said, come on in. So I went in, and he had me read a piece of newspaper. I was nervous. He said, you start tonight. I went on the air that night at midnight.
Damn.
And from there, I never went back. I never really did anything else since then.
The golden voice.
It was amazing.
That's amazing.
When you say you right place at the right time, I was absolutely at the right place at the right time when this went down. And it changed my life. It changed my life. It really did.
That's awesome.
I had no idea about that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here and I just want you to continuously describe foods you like. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I eat that.
If you want an erection, I will keep that.
Done and done.
That does it for me.
Joke's on you. If you were talking about barbecue, we'd have a real problem.
This is some really good.
And then you had brisket. And how long did they cook it for?
Doesn't it get any better? When they say food porn, and there's a lot of places on Instagram, I'm the guy that's not looking at chicks. I go through, I'm the food porn guy. I will walk through every page of these great Mexican restaurants and food from all over the world, just checking and see what people have.
I'm with you the same. Like if I see a post and somebody's like, "This is the best blank I've ever had," I'm like, "Tell me more about this that you ate." Kansas City's having a pizza right now that I'm desperately trying to get my hands on.
I saw
they
your post,
teamed up. My favorite pizza place teamed up with the best barbecue place in Kansas City and are basically creating an epic pizza called the Joe's Minsky's Barbecue Brisket Pizza. And it's just, if you were from that part of town, it would blow your mind.
Please send us some.
But
seriously,
let's plug
I
that in right there,
will
please.
pay
Let's give
extra
them
money
a
for
plug.
it. I want the tacos he's talking about, and I want the goddamn
anybody that's
pizza
listening want to send us a botana.
They would have to put the brisket from Rudy's.
Oh,
that.
bro.
You haven't had Rudy. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm not going to hold it
You
against you because I
haven't had
haven't tried it, but I want to try it.
Oh boy, when you
I'll
do.
take your word for
we
it.
need to take him on a trip down
Let's
there.
go Texas.
We should
I
actually.
am. We should
I've
all.
always talked about doing like a Texas tour.
Guys, we should do that.
I told him I'll do it. I have to come to Kansas City, though, and then it's
we'll
going
do
to be
that too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
I
good
mean,
food over
Oh,
there.
there's
Here's the
great
thing.
food in Kansas City. Trust me.
The basic food. The main thing is you ought to bring stretchy pants if you're going to come to these places.
yes.
Because you're going
Let's buy
to eat your
some.
face off.
Yes.
Be the Android.
Somebody's face.
Yes.
So, from the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, to LA, how was that jump? How was
So
that?
very-
What brought you here?
Interesting because when I told you I started broadcasting back then, one of the first things that happened was the guy that I worked for said, "Hey, I have a DJ business on the side." Okay. And he said, "Do me a favor. When you answer phone," I got promoted right away at the radio station. So I started working as an assistant to this guy as a music director. And I was working a 7 to midnight shift, a nighttime shift. So it's all a lot of younger people calling. But he said, "You're going to get a lot of phone calls of people looking for mobile DJs. Take every phone call and tell them yes. We will do it." And I said, "I don't even know how to be a mobile DJ." And so he said, "Well, I have a setup. I do that on the side, and I have a number of people that work for me. So we take every bit of business that comes in." Okay, great. So I take the phone calls. It got so busy for him, he couldn't do, or none of the people working for him. So he said, do you want to be a mobile DJ and do this on the side? And I said, sure. And it was ridiculous money. Back in those days, it was like, $700 or $800 for 3 hours or something. And that was a lot of money back in the 80s for a kid that was 15 years old. So, but you show up as a radio personality, so they're getting, a bigger bang for their buck.
Yeah.
That led into him telling me, "You want to make some more money, Mike? I got a good idea for you. I don't like talking to record companies." I said, "Well, why? It's kind of cool talking to Universal Records." He said, "I don't like talking to record companies. You talk to the record companies and see what they need, and then you tell me what kind of records they want to get on the radio. I don't talk to them." Okay. It was strange. I didn't know anything about it. And so I started talking to them, and they would say, "Hey, how come you guys don't want to play these records?" I would say, "Well, it doesn't fit our format. It doesn't fit the station profile." Okay. In my world, I had some experience in engineering. We were fortunate we had an engineering room in our facility. And so I started I felt bad for the record company guys. Don't ask me why. But I would say, "Hey, send me the stems or the instrumentals and the acapellas, and I'll create a version that will work at our radio station." And so they started sending me stuff. They didn't really care. Here and there, they'd send me things. And I would create versions. Always loved to edit. Always loved to produce music. So I would take versions of these songs and create versions that would work for our radio group.
friendly.
Radio-friendly tracks, exactly. So I would turn those back in to the record companies, and eventually it started making me money.
Nice.
I would create my own versions, and eventually it earned me a lot of publishing money. And
Great.
and that led into not doing it for one or two, but for a number of people. And Jimmy Iovine had spoke to the station. This was years and years back. This is one of the great things that came out of it. And he said, "Oh, I got a record from a guy. We want to get on morning shows." And he had just started Interscope Records. And so Jimmy it wasn't a big record label at all. It was a very small independent. And he said, "Hey, I have a record from this guy named Mejia, and it's a song called Rico Suave, and we want to see if we can just get it on the morning shows as a parody song." And so not only did I get it on the station I worked at, but we got it on. I ended up getting on a bunch of stations across the country, and I actually represent Rico Suave. I work with him quite a great guy. He became the vice president of Interscope Records. Gerardo Mejia, great guy. But yeah, that was kind of my first taste of getting paid for, working on records and pushing records and
having that ear and that.
Yeah, and I always worked with my radio groups that I always worked for or consulted or spent time at. I always had a great knack. I love picking records and I love finding things that weren't on the air. I remember trying to get Pearl Jam played at a radio station, and the general manager of the station told me, "We don't play." This is out of Seattle. "Oh, we don't play local bands."
Out of Seattle,
yeah. And I said,
"Yeah, Pearl Jam."
And I said, "But everybody was a local band at one time."
Yeah, had to be.
So 6 months later, these guys blow up, and they had they did really well. I found another cool band named Creed that were producing out of Florida, and I ended up getting a disc from one of the guys, and nobody cared about them. They thought they were trying to be like a Pearl Jam, and I ended up putting them on the air and spending a lot of time with the guys, and but by the time I was said and done, they'd sold 20+ million records.
Holy.
So yeah, we've been able to find some really cool people. I found another music artist. A lot of people think she's from the Rio Grande Valley. A woman named Amanda Perez. I produced and wrote music with her, and we had 3 top 10 hits and some records that
wrote in the sense of actually writing the song.
Yeah, producing and writing. Yeah, we started out producing the record in a small little apartment, and then we took it to a studio and finished it off. But yeah, we did all the pre-production in a small apartment building. So yeah, not quite as big.
Oh
no.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I worked with a guy named Tony P, who used to work with me on the air down in the Rio Grande Valley, and he had an ASR, which is this old keyboard that I was fond of and loved. It had a great old sound to it. We literally started doing pre-production on that keyboard with Amanda Perez. She's from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I found her in Fort Wayne. I picked her up and signed her there during a snowstorm in Fort Wayne, consulting. I consulted 3 stations that were in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I was there to sign another band that ended up getting signed by Universal Records. They jumped ahead of me and grabbed them. So I'm kind of bummed, snowed in at a hotel that's right across the street from the airport. And fortunately, I ran into somebody that knew who she was and said she was the hottest thing in town. And interestingly, we broke up a number of years ago. I had another business partner that I worked with. We split up a number of years back. And just recently, I started working with her on management again. Great person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
We had a song called Angel, which is a top 10 record. Another song called I Pray. Another song called Never. Just a laundry list of great songs.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, from Whataburger to this.
Awesome.
Silverstone. Yeah.
It's when they say dream big, like when I was a little kid, I used to take off and go for walks around the neighborhood and talk and come up with ideas for songs and poetry before I was even in school. I'm talking about 3 or 4 years old. So my dad would have to come looking for me, trying to figure things out. But I would always, even as a little kid, I always had a big imagination, always dreamed big, and I always enjoyed the music business and always enjoyed broadcasting. And I grew up, like I mentioned, my dad was an alcoholic, so I had an area that I would get away from him and grab a little portable radio, and I was able to turn on that little portable radio and listen to music, and that
was your escape.
It allowed me to get away. That was my cocaine. Yeah. That gave me some freedom and peace. But yeah, I always enjoyed listening to what was going on in between the songs and the DJs and the interviews like you're doing. It's like those things were fascinating to me. The behind the scenes stuff always fascinated me. Mm-hmm. When I started working in film stuff, I did some stuff on camera, but I always made it a point to ask a million questions and pay attention to what was going on behind the scenes. I didn't really care about what was going on from the camera. No. The fascination was behind the camera or in the recording studio. What's going on behind? How do you get those cool little sounds? And, how do you get those guitar riffs or get those melodies? I mean, those are the things that fascinated me.
It's a whole other world.
Yeah. Totally. Same thing in broadcasting. So consulting and programming radio stations, I always thought, what makes it tick? How do I take a listener, like you guys, if you've been listening to those stations over the years, what makes you listen longer? What motivates you? What makes you smile? What makes you want to connect with the on-air personalities?
And call in and
the DJs and the music. And people don't listen to DJs like they used to anymore at radio because of the Spotifys of the world. But the reality is there's something about live broadcasting, about a venue like this where you're where there's personalities communicating back to people. I think that will never go away.
Podcasts are a thing.
Absolutely.
Podcasts are a new, big trend. It's
Absolutely.
It's that openness, right?
Yep.
You know?
And I love it.
I still listen to syndicated TV. I listen to Woody Show in the morning here, which I enjoy. Like there's a couple out in Kansas City that I still listen to if I had an opportunity to. It's now, I think, with obviously the advent of podcasting, I've noticed that
more choices.
Now it's like, now I know I can specify the type of talk I want in the morning. Because I do enjoy it. Because I think in the mornings, I don't want a lot of music. In the mornings, I want something really kind of more like casual, fun bits, funny conversation, just that random stuff. And I think that that's missed sometimes on regular radio, which is why this works out really well. Yep. This is a very niche idea that we're doing here, but it could open up opportunities for all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's great. I love it.
It's wonderful, and I love it. This is cool.
Yeah, it is. And that's it. You said it. It's cool.
It's cool.
There's a hip and cool factor with doing these type of things.
Yeah.
And they're fun. You can get away with a lot more than you can get away with that terrestrial broadcast. And things will continue to change in television and broadcast radio. And there will be more networks like yours that will have more leverage. And you'll be able, kind of like with the record business, the independents can kind of move their way up and find a balance between the majors.
Compete a little bit now,
There is a competition level, But we all, let me tell you something, come from broadcasting, guys. I used to look at these as, and radio broadcasts, we used to look at these as competition. At least the industry did. I never did. I always thought that it was, they were colleagues. We were working with other people. Yeah. If you're promoting a podcast, you're promoting it for everybody. Yeah. If you're promoting a radio broadcast, even if it's online, you're promoting radio in general. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. It still brings that medium. It keeps the medium in people's forefront. People thought newspapers were going to go away. Well, here's the thing. I still want my news from that same company.
Just on your tablet.
I just want it on my phone.
That's right.
It's just a little quicker to me.
That's right.
Don't waste the paper.
Yep. Agreed.
It's awesome.
Agreed.
It's just a different way to dose that reality to people. It's just a different way to give it out. And I think that that's all it is you adapt the medium. And I think, fine, streaming, great. Radio can do streaming. Yes. Yeah. Who doesn't like it? Nobody's going to stop listening to music all of a sudden. Right. That's never going to happen. Yeah. I mean, music videos are tough, but nowadays I think I watch more music videos now because I'm purposely going, I want to watch this. Yeah. I want to sit through
Well, you're watching what you want.
I want to watch what I want. I can tailor it to myself.
Right. No one's forcing it down your
throat. Exactly. Yeah.
And I let YouTube, when it recommends things to me, I take it more seriously. I'm like, all right, you've paid enough attention. You're collecting enough data from me. Yep. Tell me what I'm interested in.
There's nights where I'm just binging off like the YouTube recommendations. I was like, well, clearly it knows what I like, and it's in the same line of what I'm
My
interested
Apple
in.
Music tells me exactly what I should like. It knows what I'm interested in, and it goes, you should listen.
It's almost asking you, how can I help you?
Yeah. How can I help you?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Speaking of which,
so segue, motherfuckers.
This is where we segue into it. So, let's get Larry King is Bagel Shop.
Yes.
We're thinking the cafe, right? We got Tom Sizemore.
Tom.
He's set, right?
Tom's in.
I think you know a guy.
I know a guy. I know a guy who knows a guy.
Let's think of other outside of the realm of hospitality. Is there? I'm trying to get into like something that you wouldn't normally think of. Someone saying, "How can I help you?" Does that make sense?
Sure. Well, I got a great one.
Of a server of that.
Imagine, look. A guy sitting in a jail cell, I know from experience. When I was a teenager, I was sitting in a jail cell, and I remember the bailiff coming over. Not the bailiff, I'm sorry, the jailer, they call him. I was in trouble for underage drinking at like 16.
Lame.
Yeah, I know. So they locked me up overnight, and the next morning, very early in the morning, the jailer comes over, and I was like, "Excuse me." I kept saying, "Excuse me," because I wanted to either use the phone or you get some food or not pee in the little hole with the 20 other guys in this little holding cell that were passed out. And so I'm wide awake. I'm nervous from being in there. And he, after 20 minutes, he says, "How can I help you?"
There you go. Perfect.
So that reminded me of it.
There's one right there.
Yes. And this could be part of the show. He literally, I said, "I'm kind of hungry." And he goes, "Oh, you're hungry. Hold on a second." He grabbed a little notepad and walks over. This is a true story. He walked over and he said, "What do you like to eat?" And I said, "Well, what do you have?" He goes, "Whatever you want." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "How about pancakes and eggs over easy?" He goes, "You want eggs over easy?" "Sure." "And you want bacon with that?" "Sure." He wrote it all down and he went back to his desk. I could see him over there. Didn't do anything, just went over there and stood. And about 3 hours later, I'm thinking they're ordering it, they're going to deliver it. I finally go, "Hey, what happened to my breakfast?" I yell at him and he goes, "Are you effing idiot. Do you think I'm going to serve you breakfast? I was like, so basically it goes back to, how can I help you? Well, he didn't want to help me. Yeah. That was a complete false. He did not want to help Mike.
That's great, yeah.
Sons of
That's
bitch.
great. It's not for you. That was great. That sucked.
That's hilarious.
That happened.
But that's that's sad that it happened, but the reality is you'll remember that story forever. Regardless of circumstance, it would never been that memorable other than jail sucks.
I'm gonna Postmate some pancakes. Eggs over easy.
Like, honestly, if that happened to me now, I'd be like, just give me my phone, I'll order it.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
I'll even pay for it. I'll get you something if it gets me out of here.
I think they did serve a bologna and bread sandwich.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
A couple hours later, but it was not the same.
That's why I can never do
that. Yeah, but he had how can I help you?
In the rude aspect that we first started with,
Thus, the parentheses rude.
Yeah. See, that's pretty good because it actually kind of helps with the show as an aspect. Is that because we're showcasing all these different things, we don't have to draw attention to it, but it's just naturalistic how often people ask that question and just different notes. It's a great acting exercise where they just say, "Okay, you got one word. Say yes to me, and say yes to me until you feel obligated to do what it is I'm asking you to do by only saying the word yes." And so I think that's that, or no, in the word no, just both of it. That's it. You just only move when you're compelled to do it. It's interesting how different formulas and formats, how can I help you, really comes into. And that can be a lot of fun. And again, as it goes on and progresses and melds into this other show, it's less and less about that. But we're helping people get involved by finding that connection with them. I think that's a really great idea. This is good. We really should be writing this down.
I'm telling you, he is.
Luckily, we're filming it.
It's documented.
Oh, you're watching? Great.
That's great. Yeah, because I'm thinking, genuinely, sarcastically, rudely.
Should we balance out our cast a little bit with maybe like a couple younger cast members as well? Sure. So anybody have any suggestions? So maybe that hot up and coming person that you're like, they would be great on this type of a show. Man, we've got two veteran, solid actors who are going to play our stand-in patrons. Essentially, they're going to be there. They're going to be there to keep things moving. Who are we representing here on the working at the bagel shop?
Well, how young are we talking? Are we talking?
They could be any age. If it's in LA, they could be actors. They could be 25-year-old, 30-year-old people working.
The question is, are they the cashier? Are they the server?
I think you're getting too specific. Yeah. I think they just work at the bagel shop. It doesn't matter.
Well, no, he's kind of right. Yeah, but.
Shift changes.
Yeah, because at certain ages they usually work in the fast food or retail.
A hostess is 17. And then
are there hostesses at a bagel shop?
Sure.
In our bagel shop there is.
Fuck it, there is now.
We have a fancy
would you like
shop.
A bagel? What a surprise!
She goes and sits back down.
She sits down. Maybe that's it. She's across the room. She's like, "May I help you?" And then you're like, "Yeah, I'd like this," and then she just doesn't get your order.
And then they can argue about how they actually slice the bagel.
Oh, well. A side note: fuck you, St. Louis.
Yeah.
There, I said it. I'm sorry.
You don't slice bagels like this.
Like an asshole.
It is not a bread loaf. That's just a cheap ass. That is just a cheap ass that was trying to spread the love around the office, and I get it. But buy some more bagels.
Exactly.
Buy 2 dozen bagels. They're bagels. Wait an hour, they'll give them to you.
It was that was crazy.
Let's name this cafe. Let's go with that.
Well,
I thought we had one. Everybody loves bagels.
Yeah.
Oh, you're serious about that?
What is
They love it.
ELBs.
ELBs.
ELBs, man.
Oh, come on. We got to get the ELBs.
All right, let's go with that.
You hate that name?
I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
It's the name of the bagel restaurant in a show.
It's not a pun, so he hates it.
Oh,
He wants it to
give
be
me
a
a
pun.
stupid pun.
No, I can't think of one as far as saying
Foil.
Are they bagels?
No.
Everybody loves bagels. Well, we cut them right.
We cut right.
In parentheses.
We cut them right.
Not stupid.
Yeah, exactly. We cut them right. Not fucking
The
idiotic.
dumb way.
Yes.
If you prefer your bagels cut like a dummy, go down to dumb bagels.
Yeah.
Or down by the bagel.
Panera bread. If
Exactly.
you're from St. Louis, you'll get that.
Who
joke. St.
who
Louis.
cuts a bagel like that?
Panera bread.
I'm not familiar with this reference you're talking about. I don't
The
know
St. Louis
Oh my God,
bread.
this-
They chop it.
Oh my God.
Well, you slice it.
No.
They literally broke the internet last week with
I
trying to
know.
decide who
I guess we could throw that picture
how you
somewhere.
would how you would slice a bagel. And somebody went to Panera Bread, bought a couple of orders of bagels, and brought them to bring them back to the office. And the people at Panera suggested to him, you should slice them like bread
What?
and make chips, basically. Yes, so it would go further because he said apparently he had a number of people at the office he wanted to feed, but a limited budget.
Hey guys, I can only afford 3 bagels for an office of 25.
Yes. So my recommendation to this guy, if he's watching, and I know he is because we're talking about him, hashtag,
We'll take it.
He needs to just pull some money out of his own pocket because you cannot take bagels to somebody that are sliced like that. It's ridiculous.
Take one for the team. I bet your company's fed you multiple times.
Yes, and they're cheap, guys.
Bagel chips.
Anyway, so it broke the internet last week, and every news station in America was talking about sliced like bread or sliced like an actual bagel.
I've never heard that.
Like an actual fucking
let me tell you,
bagel.
this reminds me of a time we had an in-work potluck, which is always a risk when you work with a bunch of people. We had an in-work potluck, and somebody brought in, I kid you not, macaroni and cheese, not a problem, in a Ziploc baggie. I have a problem with that. No, at no point in time does Ziploc baggie macaroni and cheese look or sound appetizing when you plop it down on the table and you expect me to go, hey, did you have any mac and cheese? Nope.
Here's a spoon.
I have dysentery.
Hold on a second. But when they popped it down, did you say, "Can I help you?"
I should have, but it was terrible. It just goes to show, be careful how you present your food. Presentation is important. Don't cut a bagel like a dick. And don't bring macaroni and cheese in a Ziploc baggie. And be like, why is nobody eating this? Anyway, I've got problems I need to work out.
I'm going to have to take this bag of macaroni and cheese home?
Yeah. Nobody ate it.
You don't even want to eat it.
Yeah, throw it in the trash.
I'm just going to eat out of the bag, guys.
When you have to pour it out of the bag into a plate.
Anybody want some of this?
That doesn't look appetizing. Oh, what, was there not trash in the parking lot you could bring down and serve us? I mean, I don't care. It's very nice if you bring food. This is a real bad side note. If you bring food to a potluck, just know that I want to eat it. And if you bring me garbage that I don't want to eat, nobody's going to eat your garbage.
You know who you are.
It's weird. You know who you are.
You're listening. You know who you are.
Or bring nothing.
Yeah, you Ziploc bag beggars.
Bring a bag of chips.
But not a Ziploc
Little
bag of
Debbie
chips.
cakes.
And cut your bagels right, please.
And cut your bagels like a normal person.
Do not put a bagel in a bread slicer, guys.
Like I get donuts. If you cut donuts a different way, I'm like, all right, you probably share the donuts.
should cut them halfway.
I've quartered donuts with people before. Like, I don't want to eat the
Who
whole
you
thing.
hang
I
out
know.
with?
You
You can't do that either.
You know what? It's honestly,
Oh my God.
if you're in a place where you have donuts and you want to share all the donuts, it's kind of like, I want to try a little bit of all of them, but I know if I eat 2...
But donuts are meant to just be for one.
Yes,
I
agree.
understand,
It's
and
so
I'm with you on
hearty,
that. I'm
too.
just saying that sometimes if you want to try, like if you have like a dozen of really good flavors and you want to try them all, I feel I'm okay with splitting a donut. So I'm like,
I'm just going to throw it out there.
Bagels, no.
That's a chick thing. Just throwing it out
I
there.
live with a woman.
Well, there we go.
And why are you closer to
And that's why I brought the pillow in. Magic
this is where you ask, can I help you?
Yeah, exactly.
Can
It's like,
I
can I
help
help
you?
you?
And then he says, can I help you?
Can we help each other?
Yeah, Joe Biden just got accused of touching somebody inappropriately.
that's too bad.
They said this woman said he pulled her towards him and kissed her on the top of her head, and that would have been a great opportunity for her to say, "Can I help you?"
Help you?
We should make a meme about that, and that'll be
Yes.
the meme for this TV show.
Yes, exactly, Biden. Thank
Oh
you.
my God! The advertising for the show just does itself. It's literally memes of all these different scenarios where people are like, "Can I help you?"
Yes.
And you hashtag it.
Yes.
Hashtag.
Yes.
Can I help
Oh,
you?
God.
Yes.
Boom! Marketing is
That's
done
the
for the
promo.
show.
That's the promo.
I just
Done.
did it. Oh my God! Amazing.
Oh my
That was
God.
great.
Amazing.
That was great.
He's got that and Kansas City steaks.
good.
Man.
All Missouri promos. That's what I
Bam.
do. I'm only here for that.
I'm set on this. I think
You feel good?
I feel good about this.
Mike,
Oh,
you have
I feel
anything?
great.
Excellent.
I'm greenlighting it. Let's do
It's
it.
greenlit!
We got time slots
We got
for it.
time
Come on.
Awesome. Well, this is your chance to give a little plug about yourself or whatever you'd like. Anything that you want to mention? Anything coming up?
Yes. Can I talk about? I got a great rock band
Excellent.
that we just finished producing an album with in the studio. They're from Austin, Texas.
Awesome.
Since a lot of you guys are
Hell
from the
yeah.
Texas world. A band out of Austin, Texas called Core.
Okay.
They had a couple of records on the charts last year that did really well.
Nice.
We got a new track that's going to be released in video form.
Excellent.
That
Nice.
Tom Sizemore is the lead star.
Yeah.
There you go. Hell yeah.
A guy named Jarrett
good.
Smith actually is the executive producer on it. I produced it with him and a company called JSA, which is his company. So he's a bass player in the band, but he's also a film producer. He's made some
Awesome.
stuff in the past. And we got together and put together a concept
great.
that I wrote and handed over to him. And He turned it into an incredibly large production where we shut down the 6th Street Bridge for a couple of days in downtown Los Angeles.
Amazing.
And the video came out really well. Tom Sizemore, it's his first time doing a music video. He'd never wanted to do these videos before, but it came out really well. It's kind of a short film, I would say. So we have a longer version of it and a shorter version that will be released on Vivo, and we're going to MTV Networks to visit with those folks in New York.
Do they play music?
I'm glad you asked that question. Number one question, does MTV still play music videos? They do, on occasion, play a few videos in the middle of the night, believe it or not. But they also have 7 networks that they operate and own. A great guy that worked with a company called Jacobs Media, used to be the general manager for MTV Networks. He worked with H1, and he was a radio consultant. A great guy I have a lot of respect for. Tom Calderon is no longer there. But there's a series of things that they set up back when he was that really makes it easier for videos to get on the air and get played. But yeah, they have other networks like MTVU and MTV Jams. They have a number of different networks that still play all videos.
Awesome.
Or majority videos. Nice. So
who owns Revolt? I know Diddy owns
Revolt. Is Diddy, yes.
Is that just him? Does
it's
MTV
him in
have
a
a
group.
hand in that? Oh,
nope,
okay.
him in a group.
I have to admit, Revolt got me back into music videos for a minute there. I was really digging what they were putting out, and it was back to back to back. I'd watch hours of it.
That's how it should be.
So they play a lot of hip hop. I'm actually sending the core music video over to them.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and also at ESPN and some of the sports affiliates that carry and will use clips
like the sound
and the audio at times.
That's cool.
Yeah, so some big plans for core.
Awesome.
Tom Sizemore's got a number of films he's working on. I manage Tom. Tom's movie we were talking about a little while ago, Peter Pan, which is a big budget film.
Excellent.
And then Bantango, I have a project. I'm a music rights advocate. I've spent a lot of time over the years, since the 80s, coming up with plans and ideas for artists that I personally have worked with, who have sat in front of me across the counter at a radio station doing interviews and saying, they showed up in a limousine and they're staying at these wonderful hotels, but off the air, we turn the microphones off. They say, you know what, Mike? That's all a bunch of fluff. It is fluff. We're sharing a hot plate tonight and we're all eating, we're making a meal and we're all sharing the same room. So I always thought this is a horrible way for artists to try and survive. And I've known a number of artists over the years, including Rick James, who I spent some time with. I actually picked up Rick James right before he passed away. And one of the interesting conversations I had with him was about his music publishing. And he said, Mike, I haven't seen my publishing in quite some time. This was a guy that would sell out 100,000-seater stadiums, who had some of the biggest records of all times. And to go from making that kind of money to not knowing where your money is when your records are still getting played. So I've spent a lot of time building a company called Bantango, which is a music rights organization to help us police somewhat and find where the music artist money is going. There's a couple of resources in the world that actually primarily that collect that money. They call themselves publishing companies, but they're really not. They're collection agencies. They take half of that money before they distribute it to the artist. And so I work with a couple of great people, a guy named Tolga Caddis, and a gentleman who was part of the Apple world with Steve Jobs, a guy named Captain Crunch, who's our CTO that's working on technology for us. I came up with an idea, my background in broadcast engineering and programming, came up with an idea for a box that actually tracks audio content, an app and a portal that we use to the internet that will go into radio stations and businesses in order to track what they're doing and pay the artists out directly versus going through all these middlemen.
That's amazing.
Hell yeah.
Good.
At the last Grammys, I met with, right after I met with a great guy who runs Universal Music Group, a guy named Monty Lippman, and we spoke about what we're doing, and I shared our literature with him and where we're going. But it'll be a thing that can help major record companies and music artists that have wondered where their money's floating around at. So excited about it, guys.
I think you're going to have a lot of positive reaction. That's awesome.
Yeah, some good people involved too.
Congratulations.
Also, by the way, the president that I brought in to oversee the company is a guy named Paul Fishkin. He started a company called Modern Records. He also he sold that company to one of the Jacksons, Randy Jackson, as a matter of fact. He also works with a woman who's getting nominated or is nominated and being awarded something this weekend at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He works with Stevie Nicks. He's a good partner to have on board, and he's been a really good guy.
That's amazing.
We've signed and worked on some artists over the years together, which has been nice.
That's amazing.
So good team of people at Bang Tango.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
We'll definitely
make sure we put that
add
on
all that
here.
on there.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to help and support, because, it's about you're supporting the bands. We want to help support that.
Yep,
So,
and I'll be in Washington, D.C. on May 23rd. We're doing an event with Bradley Cooper to raise money for one of his organizations that will help soldiers that have come back from from military life who have issues with drugs, alcohol, and suicide.
That's great.
So we're doing that in Washington, D.C., and there should be a lot of great people there.
That's amazing.
Political people, and Tom Sizemore will be there with us, Janice Dickinson.
Excellent.
I'm bringing Mario Lopez as well with us,
awesome.
who I'm working with on
Oh,
this.
yeah.
So some really good people and a laundry list of other people that will be there. Fat Joe and
That's great.
yeah, so it'll be a fun time.
That's gonna be a great event.
Yeah, raising money, some money for this gala that's happening.
Is there a
on the
link that we
20th.
can put so people can buy tickets?
There is, and I will give that to you.
Excellent.
For sure. If you guys can
we'll
post
Link
plug
in
it
the
for sure.
bio.
yeah, down there.
Here, it's in somewhere.
Somewhere
Or
there.
over there.
If you're watching this episode,
Or
we'll
over
tell
my
you where the
face.
link's
Oh,
at.
no.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm involved with Lindsay Lohan's dad. He's a partner of mine on this thing that we're helping. Michael Lohan, who's a great guy, who's had some issues in his lifetime, and he's really changed his world and his life for his new family, and he's really trying to do his part to help these military vets, and we're trying to do the same thing.
Great. Where's the event in DC going to be at? Do you know?
Yeah, it's at a hotel. Actually, we're doing it at, but I'll send you all.
That's awesome. No, that's really.
We'll
I
plug
love
it for
DC.
sure.
I always like to talk about all the cool things.
I
that happen
love
there.
DC
That's
too.
great.
I love DC. That's
DC's
good.
amazing. No,
It
it's
is.
really cool. Well, awesome.
This has been great having you on the
I've
show. It's
enjoyed
been
being here,
fun,
guys.
Thank you,
know.
Mike.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Can I help you?
Well, yes, you can. Can you show me to my car? It goes on, guys. It goes on. No, I'm
exactly.
telling you, this could be greenlit. This is a great idea.
I love this idea. This
Something
is
good.
an excellent
Okay.
idea.
Well, you've been watching the Writers Block Party podcast with Mike Quinn, everybody. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Marty
guys.
McCrew!
Hey, wait a minute. Can we get a round of applause for the lady that came up with this idea? Yes.
The Angus Celeste.
Oh, I thank you,
so much.
studio audience. You guys are
Thank
great.
you. We all have a studio audience.